Tonight we have the documentary screening, a Richard Hughes film, which we've all come here for, and the film is 55 minutes, so rather than me rattle on, I'll just quickly introduce Sarah, who will introduce the film, and she wants to be known only as Richard Hughes's goddaughter. So despite all of us knowing that she has many more very colourful hats, we'll bring onto the stage now Sarah Monk's goddaughter of Richard Hughes.
Thank you very much, Martin, and it is indeed a great privilege to be standing here talking to all of you, because I'm normally down there listening. I was very happy when Anna kindly invited me to introduce this Australian documentary about the fabulous Hughes family. It's also the rounding of a circle, because my godfather, Richard Hughes, a loyal friend of my late father and war correspondent, Noel MONKS, was the one who introduced me to the FCC in 1978. Dick Hughes was also my entree to the Hong Kong of his remarkable life and times. I use the word remarkable because Dick always corrected anybody who used the word fabulous, which I just did to describe his family. He loathed what he termed imprecise language. This ambitious documentary that the club has obtained to show to you all tonight is a heady cocktail of writers, performers, spies and priests, war and peace. It covers 4 generations of a multi-talented family, mostly in Australia, but it returns several times to this place, the FCC, where so much of the Hughes family legend is anchored, and it is also where other club legends like Hugh Van Ness and Anthony Lawrence were interviewed for this film. Anna encouraged me to share a few personal anecdotes about Dick. I'm very much indebted to the late Kevin Sinclair, one of Dick's closest, dearest friends, for having preserved so many anecdotes in his marvellous South China Morning Post tribute to Dick when Dick died back in 1984. And Kit Sinclair, who is with us tonight, knows all of these anecdotes very well. While he was simply Uncle Dick to me, and I knew him since I was probably 1 year old, to all of those who sought out Richard Hughes at the Foreign Correspondents Club, he was the doyen. He was the famous Sunday Times correspondent who also wrote Traveller's Tales for the Far Eastern Economic Review. An Australian with the build of a heavyweight boxer, his beat was pre-war Shanghai and Japan, wartime North Africa, where he first took to wearing a monocle to irritate pompous British Army officers, and Cold War Asia. His 1968 classic, Borrowed Place, Borrowed Time, was compulsory reading for anybody coming to Hong Kong, and I just want to show you this. It's still on sale in the bookshops in Hong Kong today, and I really do recommend it. It does stand the test of time. But Dick would have none of this doyen stuff. That's just another way of saying I'm the oldest whore in the house, was how he used to complain. But for Jean le Carré, Dick was old Craw, a character waiting to be written into his best-selling spy novel, The Honourable Schoolboy. For Dick's Sunday Times boss, Ian Fleming, he was also Dicko Henderson, an unforgettable character in You Only Live Twice, the James Bond novel from which this particular documentary takes its title. Dick was an attentive godfather to several children of his correspondent colleagues and friends. I can reveal, for example, that the man who scored one of the greatest scoops of the 20th century, flashing out the missing British spies, Burgess and Maclean, in Moscow, was equally good at finding the most exciting toys for young children at Hamleys in London. The man who wrote Foreign Devil, 30 years of reporting in the Far East, delighted in sending postcards from war-torn Saigon, and it would show himself with the spires of Saigon Cathedral poking out at the top of his head, making him look like a devil. Dick, who described himself as a very bad Catholic, would nonetheless take on the role of inquisitor with people like myself. He would put his monocle into his eye and say, "Goddaughter, when did you last go to confession?" For him, the answer was very easy, 1926. I suppose I must have passed the test because I later became the godmother to Dick's first granddaughter, one of whom you will see in the film tonight. I was very fortunate to see much more of Uncle Dick, as I called him, in his later years. His customary greeting, sitting here in the FCC, was in a strange Vatican lingo that harked way back, probably to the 1930s. Everyone was Your Grace, Eminence, Monsignor, my son, his favourite name for Kevin Sinclair. There was only one Mother Superior. That, of course, was Claire Hollingworth, and she was not amused. When he wasn't at the FCC, Dick presided over uproarious lunches at the Hilton Grill, fueled by Russian water, as he liked to describe vodka, as we call it in this club, or vodka. He always ordered beef tartare, followed by roast beef without Yorkshire pudding, and strawberries with kirsch. Though more accurately, it was kirsch with strawberries by the time Dick had jogged the elbow of the waiter bearing the liqueur bottle. There was a Dickensian flavour to Dick's philosophizing. So from day to day we ripe and rot was one of his favourite expressions. Another was, "God bless us one and all," said Tiny Tim, the boy with the syphilitic hip. That one got more difficult to say as the lunches wore on. Dick's doleful excuse for these feasts was, "But I only have one meal a day." UPI's Charlie Smith would always respond in his Alabama drawl, "Yeah, but it lasts 6 hours." Dick was a core member of that mysterious all-male drinking society, Alcoholics Synonymous, which I understand still meets here at the FCC on Saturdays. Don't put your hands up, I know it's secret. Late one Saturday afternoon, I pulled up outside the FCC to witness Dick, who was a commander of the British Empire, drawing a sword from his walking stick. Of course, this was an entirely illegal weapon. This was so that he could knight Derek Davis, the former editor of the Far Eastern Economic Review, who was kneeling on the footpath. And of course, there he was with the sword going on either shoulder. Now, quite what the Anglican Archbishop made of all of this peering out of his window, who knows? Heaven only knows. Finally, I think it's very important to mention, especially when you see this documentary, that Dick placed women on a pedestal. "Never marry a Chinese," he would say, beaming at Anne, his elegant and beloved Chinese wife. She was from Shanghai. He would continue the sentence, "They rule you with a rod of iron disguised as flowers." But behind his gregarious persona, Dick was a deeply private man. His flat in Shepherd's Court, Conduit Road, was off limits. Sundays were sacred. Dick and Anne even invented a private language to deter anybody from eavesdropping on their conversations. In this documentary, Dick Sr., as we call him, and you'll see why in a moment because there is a Dick Jr., plays only one part. But though he has been gone for many years, he still plays it larger than life. One can only speculate as to what he would think of what we are about to see. But before we start the film, I'd like to propose a toast, a favourite toast of Dick's on what today would have been his 106th birthday. Two absent friends. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the film.
So the film is 55 minutes, and if you still have energy afterwards, we might have a seminar at the conclusion. Well, as I see you're all still in your seats, I've got to do one little ritual. Every speaker here gets a gift pack from the FCC. So, Sarah? Well, seeing people are all still here, we can go through the ritual of Q&A if you like. Okay. Who will ask the first question? I will. How many people actually knew Richard Hughes personally? Hands up. Ooh, that's a lot. Okay, first question?
I think the first question is, does any one of those people want to tell us about?
Well, there's dozens of them. You'll have to fight each other to have the first right to tell a short anecdote. Who would like to? Oh, they're all... Okay.
What do you think? Was he or wasn't he a spy?
His biographer, Norman McSwan, concluded that he was. But he also said he felt it was fairly low-grade disinformation, that it was that part of the Cold War involving Bangkok, Moscow. It was very difficult for there to be any Russians in this part of the world because of the Sino-Soviet split. But I think it's possible. I think ultimately he was the perfect spy character, but he may not have been the perfect spy.
Good answer.
Anyone else? Okay, Mr. Thomas back here.
Ted Thomas. I knew him for many, many years, as you know. Had lunch with him regularly, and still occasionally go to the group that he founded, which was called the Old Hiltonians, and still have the lunch every now and again for charity. The one point I wanted to make was the monocle. And he told me one day that no real gentleman would ever have a ribbon on a monocle. It had to fit into your eye perfectly. And the only reason he started ever wearing a monocle was because it amused him, as he said, in North Africa. But the monocles he wore, which are of course for people with better eyesight in one eye than the other, the monocles he wore were plain glass. and cost absolutely nothing. And what he used them for was when he wanted to demonstrate anger, he'd throw them to the floor and stamp all over them, and they didn't cost him a penny. Thank you.
Anyone else? This is probably the latest we've had at dinner here, so I guess you all really like documentaries. And I can tell you about the one that didn't make it, the Academy Award winning The Cove, and the trainer of Flipper was trying to come here this month, but we had so many events we couldn't fit him in. So write angry letters to the committee and say we want Flipper's trainer to talk about the slaughter of dolphins in his Academy Award winning documentary. I thank you all for coming this night and hope to see you again at another documentary session.